Some people don't expect the worst because they're negative. They expect the worst because disappointment once felt unbearable. Why you feel safer. Expecting the worst. Opening hook. You tell yourself not to get too excited. Not because you don't want good things, but because some part of you believes good things disappear faster when you notice them. So before a relationship gets serious, you imagine how it will end. Before sending a message, you rehearse rejection. Before a good day fully settles into your body, you quietly prepare for something to ruin it. Visual. Person sitting alone in dim morning light. And the strange part is, expecting the worst almost feels calming, like your mind would rather sit in controlled disappointment than risk unexpected pain. But why does your brain treat hope like a threat? And why can pessimism sometimes feel safer than peace? Visual, slow-moving clouds over a dark ocean. The answer usually begins long before you notice the habit. Problem deep dive. You probably don't call yourself pessimistic. You call yourself realistic, prepared, careful. You tell yourself you're not getting your hopes up. But over time, this becomes more than caution. It becomes an emotional reflex. You stop fully trusting good moments. A compliment feels temporary. A calm relationship feels suspicious. An opportunity feels like something that could disappear at any second. Visual, notification, appearing on a phone, then fading. So your mind stays slightly ahead of pain. Always rehearsing, always scanning. Behavioral psychology calls this anticipatory coping. The brain tries to reduce emotional shock by simulating negative outcomes before they happen. At first, this sounds intelligent, and sometimes it is. Your brain is designed to predict danger. That's one of its main jobs. But prediction becomes a problem when the nervous system starts treating uncertainty itself as danger. That's when your mind stops preparing for pain and starts living inside it early. You see this in ordinary moments. Someone takes longer to reply than usual. Immediately, your brain begins constructing emotional explanations. They're losing interest. They're annoyed. I said something wrong. Visual. Empty chat screen glowing in dark room. Not because you enjoy suffering, but because uncertainty creates tension inside the brain, and the brain hates unresolved tension. Neuroscience shows that uncertain threats often create more stress than known negative outcomes. A bad answer feels easier than waiting for one, so your mind fills the silence with certainty, even painful certainty. Over time, this changes your identity. You become the person who doesn't expect much, the person who mentally prepares for every emotional exit before the door even opens. And eventually, you stop asking whether your thoughts are true. You only ask whether they protect you. But there's something important hidden inside this pattern, something most people misunderstand. Reframe. This habit did not appear randomly. Your brain learned it, and usually it learned it during periods where emotional unpredictability felt unsafe. Maybe good moments disappeared suddenly. Maybe affection was inconsistent. Maybe peace was temporary. Or maybe disappointment caught you off guard too many times. Visual. Child sitting quietly near a window. So your nervous system adapted. It created a psychological strategy. If I expect pain first, pain will hurt less. That's not weakness, that's adaptation. The brain is constantly trying to minimize emotional surprise, because surprise is expensive for the nervous system, especially if past experiences taught you that emotional safety could change without warning. So pessimism can become emotional armor, not heavy armor, thin armor, quiet armor, the kind that hides inside phrases like, I'm just being realistic. I don't want to jinx it. I already know how this ends. And the difficult part is, sometimes this strategy works. If you expect disappointment, you feel slightly more prepared when it arrives. But there's a hidden cost. You also experience disappointment before reality even happens. Your mind begins grieving possibilities that haven't even unfolded yet. Visual. Waves moving slowly against dark rocks. And eventually, your brain confuses vigilance with safety. That confusion changes everything. Psychological mechanism. Imagine your brain like a smoke alarm. A healthy smoke alarm detects real danger, but an overtrained smoke alarm reacts to burnt toast like a house fire. That's what chronic pessimistic anticipation often becomes, an overprotective prediction system. Visual, abstract brain animation with warning signals. The brain's threat network, especially the amygdala, constantly scans for patterns connected to past emotional pain. If disappointment once felt overwhelming, your brain starts PR. Your brain starts predicting it earlier and earlier, not to punish you, to protect you. This connects to something called predictive processing. Your brain is not passively observing reality. It's constantly guessing what will happen next based on past experiences. In simple terms, your brain would rather predict familiar pain than risk unfamiliar uncertainty. Because familiar pain feels controllable. Uncertainty does not. Visual, maze slowly forming from moving lines. Think of it like this. Your mind becomes a weather app, permanently forecasting storms, even on clear days. Not because storms are guaranteed, but because missing one once felt dangerous. And here's the strange neurological twist. Every time your worst-case prediction feels emotionally convincing, your brain receives a small sense of control, even if the prediction is painful. Certainty itself becomes soothing. That's why people can become emotionally attached to pessimism without realizing it. Not because negativity feels good, but because predictability feels safer than vulnerability. And once the brain links anxiety with preparedness, relaxing starts to feel irresponsible. That's why peace can feel unnatural at first. Not because peace is dangerous, but because your nervous system stopped recognizing it. Practical framework. So how do you loosen this pattern without forcing fake optimism? Not by thinking positive, but by retraining how your brain relates to uncertainty. Visual, notebook with one sentence written. The first step is noticing prediction without immediately believing it. When your mind says, "This will probably go wrong," pause before treating it like reality. Cognitive psychology calls this cognitive diffusion. Separating thoughts from facts reduces automatic emotional reactions. For example, instead of saying, "They're ignoring me," say, "My brain is predicting rejection right now." That small language shift creates psychological distance. The second step is allowing small moments of uncertainty without solving them immediately. This is important because your nervous system keeps demanding closure, but emotional resilience grows through tolerated uncertainty. Visual, person standing still while people pass around them. For example, when someone replies late, resist building a story instantly. Not because your fears are impossible, but because your brain needs evidence that uncertainty itself is survivable. The third step is tracking emotional forecasting errors. Your brain remembers danger more strongly than safety, so you have to consciously record moments where your worst-case prediction never happened. Behavioral science calls this corrective experience. Visual, journal pages, turning slowly. Maybe you thought a conversation would go badly. Maybe you assumed someone was upset. Maybe you expected rejection, and none of it happened. Your nervous system needs repeated proof that its predictions are not always reality. The fourth step is learning the difference between preparation and emotional pre-suffering. Preparation helps action. Pre-suffering only drains emotional energy before anything happens. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me respond or just helping me rehearse pain? That question changes more than you think. Visual, empty room with sunlight slowly entering. And finally, practice allowing good moments to exist without immediately testing them. This sounds simple, but psychologically it's difficult. Because your brain may interpret calmness as vulnerability. So when something good happens, notice the urge to predict its ending and gently return to the present moment instead. Not forever, just for now. That's how nervous systems relearn safety. Not through force, through repetition. Integration. In the end, this pattern is not really about negativity, it's about control. Your brain learned that predicting pain felt safer than being surprised by it. So it started carrying emotional umbrellas everywhere, even indoors. Visual, person holding umbrella under clear sky. And maybe that umbrella protected you once. Maybe you truly needed it. But eventually, constant protection becomes constant tension. You stop experiencing life directly. You experience your predictions about life. That's the real exhaustion. Not fear itself, but living one emotional step ahead of reality all the time. Quiet, empowering close. You do not have to become blindly optimistic. That's not the goal. The goal is quieter than that. To slowly teach your nervous system that uncertainty is not automatically danger. That peace does not need to be interrupted to feel familiar. Visual, slow sunrise through apartment window. And maybe the hardest part is realizing this. Expecting the worst never actually prevented pain. It only made you experience parts of it twice, once in your imagination and once in reality, if it ever arrived at all. So maybe healing begins here, not by forcing yourself to expect the best, but by allowing yourself to